Buddy, Jack's already in the chat. What's up? Give me a second here. We're fumbling as usual because we still cannot figure out how this is supposed to work. How's it going, everybody? How are sales?
We're in action.
Can you hear us okay? Yes? No?
Ba-boom. There they are.
Hey, everybody. All right, let me give Nikki, could you maybe comment so I can give you mod access?
I'm good. I got it. It told me.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, when I joined.
Okay, cool. Cool. Well, hey there, everybody. Glad you can hear us. I guess let me bring you down a little bit more.
Where you guys chatting from?
We're from Ohio. Lizette Rodriguez, first time catching us live. Hi. Welcome in. If you didn't know, we're almost always having technical difficulties, so don't be surprised if that happens the next time you get on a live.
I know, right? Virginia, Florida, Las Vegas, Arkansas, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Ohio, Indiana,
Defiance,
North
Ohio.
Carolina, Montana, Defiance, Missouri, Arizona, and Georgia. My gosh, you guys are all over. East Tennessee, Louisiana, New York, New Hampshire. We need to make a map one of these days because I bet we have almost the whole. Oh, we got Canada in the house. Whoop, whoop. Welcome.
Well, welcome everybody. As usual, we are doing live Q&As. We're really quiet. Are we quiet to everyone else?
Our speakers are green.
Everyone else said they could hear us. Are we quiet to everyone? Can everybody hear us pretty well? We're fine? Okay, it might be on your end. Okay.
I was nervous.
We're doing a live Q&A as usual, so if you guys have any kind of reseller related questions, go ahead and start putting them in the chat below. These lives do go pretty quick, so if you don't get your question in early down in the chat, it's probably not going to be answered till probably an hour from now. So if you have a question, start getting them in the chat if you guys want to chat about stuff. I don't really have a topic today other than, did everyone see that Poshmark changed their fees back? Because that's been a big topic in our group. So if you didn't see that, just an update. I don't want to spend all day talking about that because I feel like the whole reseller community has been talking about Poshmark's fees, the first change for so long. But I did want to inform everyone that that happened in case you weren't aware. But yes, they reverted it back to their 20% fees. And this was also a big question we were getting in Reseller's Edge was, does that whole shipping discount still apply till the end of the year if you're a Posh Ambassador 2, I think it was? And the answer is no. They discontinued that program, so that is gone. It is basically completely back to normal. So I wanted to inform you guys of that. What else is going on this week? We've been moving out some older inventory.
Yeah, if anybody's in the market to buy some inventory, which is weird for us, we have some stuff that we no longer want to have. I've got them listed on a couple different Facebook sites, but I'd really like to get this stuff moving. So if y'all be in the need,
there's some pretty good stuff in there. There's Anthropology, Free People. There's some designer stuff in there.
Yeah.
Rag and Bone, all kinds of stuff. Let us know. Reach out to us via email.
We got a question. You ready?
I am ready. I'm seeing some people who didn't know that about Poshmark too. I'm pretty surprised by it as well. I'm a little sad because the new structure was working really well for us. We were making a lot more money and our sales were also going up. So I am sad to see it got reverted back. But I also got tipped off probably over a week ago. I think by now that was probably going to happen. So it didn't hurt as much.
No, it didn't. All right, question 1. Question about selling vintage, eBay versus Poshmark. What do you think about selling vintage profit-wise? I'm assuming what's the best place?
Excuse me. I'm already choking. So I was like, every time I take a drink, something happens. I mean, profit wise, now that Poshmark's back to their 20% fees, if we're just talking about profit percentage wise, usually eBay is going to have the cheaper fees, just like point blank. But as far as like selling vintage, we kind of talked about this on the last live, or maybe it was the one before that, but all of anything that you might be selling is going to probably have the most likelihood of selling on the platform with the most users. There are sites like Depop that, tend to have a younger buyer base, but those younger buyers are also on eBay as well. I actually saw a commercial we can talk about here in a second. But eBay, just in general, of all the platforms, has the most users on it. And so even for a category like vintage, you are way more likely to sell it on eBay. And I think just buyer base wise, we do have customers on Poshmark that do like vintage and buy vintage from us, but I would say that there is a bigger buyer base of vintage on eBay for sure. And then if you're not already and you are looking to add a platform, if you're going to mostly be selling vintage, Depop can also be a great platform as well.
I love it. All right. Let's see what else. Everybody's asking about Poshmark.
So I saw this commercial. We were like watching something on HBO Max or Hulu or something like that. And an eBay commercial came up and I was surprised because I don't think I've ever seen like an eBay commercial. And it was tailored to the younger crowd. It was like a girl talking about all the things she wanted. And most of them were vintage. Most of them were items that are like, would not be new. It wasn't like she was like, oh, free people and yada, yada, yada. It was all like specific vintage items and also factors and just style-based things. So like she was looking for something like Y2K or Whimsy Goth or a baby doll top, or she mentioned cherry red, which I was really surprised by. So I think that's where a lot of reselling is headed, is more like style-based factor-wise and not always about brand, which is pretty cool because it's easier.
Yeah, I like that for sure. All right, here's another question. So when you start listing items or start listing more items, how long does it take for those to reflect?
It really depends on what the sell-through rates of those items are. We focus on 100% sell-through rate within 90 days. So if I were to pick something up and start listing it and making changes, I would expect for it to take 90 days for ours. If you have a different sell-through rate model, maybe let's say you're okay with picking up things that are 50% sell-through rate, it's going to take you probably twice as long to potentially see that change. A lot of people see it sooner than that. Usually people, when they make changes, see it within probably about a month or so. But I would say that just to be realistic, whatever your sell-through rate is, you'll really want to consider that. But I would say at least probably a month. Unless you got some really high sell-through rate item. You got a bunch of Arc'teryx or something that's going to sell like in a week. Goal.
Yeah. Deborah, if you're looking to potentially buy some of the bundles that we have, definitely shoot us an email over at Well-Traveled Clothing Heirs so that we can see if what we have is what you're interested in. I can give you a link to the Facebook group that we're in so you can hopefully see some of those bundles and see if you'd like to buy any of them. So
yeah.
Janice Welch wants to know, what's your sales strategy on eBay? Do you do a markdown sale aside from 5% after 90 days, or what's your plan?
Well, previously we didn't really have a I guess let me rephrase. Previously, what I used to do is I used to just drop prices every 90 days, which is what you were mentioning. Or not every 90 days, every month once an item hit 90 days or older. But recently I have put together, because I saw that we needed to do it and had an opportunity to do it, to basically decide how long were we going to keep something in our store period. We decided that was going to be a year. We felt like that was enough time to like give seasonal things to happen, have markdowns, and try to move it. And then within that time it gets listed to a year, we decided that we're going to do several seasonal markdowns for categories. So as items are on their way to going out of season, way ahead of time, we are running sales so that by the time the next season hits, we hopefully have fleshed out a lot of those things. But I haven't honestly tested out a whole lot this new markdown system that we have. So I don't really have any like data to share with you on that. But we ran recently, we knew dresses, for instance, were going to not be as high of a sell-through rate simply because not a lot of people are going to be buying dresses in colder weather. So I marked down some dresses, right? And that actually was pretty successful. We sold a lot of dresses. It was a little sad to see some of them go that were, I guess, higher priced items at a lower rate. But I would rather do that and get my money back now and not have it held up than wait like a year later to sell it. So I have a whole document typed up. I've shared that exact document with Reseller's Edge. If you're interested in joining, you'll get access to both that call and that document where you can download your own copy and input your own stuff. But seasonally, we are going to be doing a lot more markdowns, and then I can just let you know how that goes. If you guys haven't, Lori Tata, I think that's how you pronounce it, with Lori's Boston Pound, she recently did a huge, she wanted to basically start over her business and clear out a bunch of stuff and reduce her inventory. And she's been doing some crazy, insane markdown strategies on Poshmark, and they've been working really well for her. So if you're someone on Poshmark, maybe go watch some of her more recent videos, because she's been doing pretty much that phasing out that I'm talking about in a short period of time. And it's pretty cool to watch.
Sarah wants to know, I'm wondering if you check the box to require immediate payment, can your customers still bundle on eBay? Probably a dumb question, but thought I'd ask. There are no dumb questions.
Yeah, no dumb questions, unless you're one of the trolls that ask questions not related to reselling. But the answer is that, yes, we require immediate payment. That has reduced most. Every now and then one slips through, but for the most part, we don't have people waiting and awaiting payment anymore. And we still get bundles. So we actually just had quite a few actually on eBay recently where people are repeat customers or bundling stuff together. So yes, you can totally hit require immediate payment. Why wouldn't you? It just makes the most sense. And then, yes, they can still bundle.
Heather wants to know, how long do you leave your new items at no offer on eBay?
90 days.
Have you shared your thoughts? Yes, we did share our thoughts. But have you shared your thoughts on Poshmark's new fee structure?
Yeah, I don't know if you're talking about the new one that they reverted back to, but they just today announced that they're reverting back to the original 20%. I actually liked the about 6% with added stuff. I made more money, so I was a big fan of it. I'm sad that they reverted back to 20%, but there's no use in wallowing in it because I'm not going to change it. So 20% it is, and we'll move forward with that.
Lisa Durr says, Commonwealth Flipper Kevin has a platform on District. It's just for resellers.
I think they were suggesting to put our wholesale bundles
there.
there.
Inventory or lots of things. Shop Commons. Would you ever list lots there? I have no idea what that is. So right now, no. Maybe if I could figure out what it was. But I have not necessarily checked that out yet. And I would be interested in potentially checking it out if I knew a little bit more about it, for sure. Let's see. Have you ever issued a partial refund on eBay? If yes, how does it work? Did you have to submit any explanation why you issued only a partial refund and not a full refund?
Yeah, we actually just did that right before the call. There have been a couple of times where we have done a partial refund. Most of the time it's because the item comes back in a condition that wasn't how it left. So maybe we have had a lot of the item smells like smoke, or you can tell they wore it and were sweaty in it and it needs washed again. Or maybe they send it back and there's a hole that wasn't there before. So in those cases, we would do a partial refund. How do we determine how much that is? I don't know. I think it's all about what's worth your time. We usually only deduct $5 or $10 usually for stuff that needs washed. But today we had someone who falsely claimed an INAD, an item as not described, And whenever that happens, whenever your buyers force an INAD, you no longer have the option to refund them original shipping or not. It automatically tries to give them back their original shipping because it's considered an INAD. So we deducted the original shipping out of their item amount and just left a note in the comments about, why it was for, because they chose the wrong one and because we couldn't unselect that. And then at that point, you basically let the eBay buyer and eBay duke it out and decide if they're going to let that go through or not. In most cases, eBay has let it go through, and they are supposed to protect you. It's in their policies for cases like this, especially if you're a top-rated seller. So make sure that you push back on them if you're not getting those protections.
Agreed. Ditto.
I saw a comment too. I just wanted to point out, somebody mentioned that Poshmark did revert their fees back, but the fees at 20% don't actually start for a couple days. I think it's until the 24th. So yes, you are correct.
When do you start preparing for the next season?
Like a year in advance. So we actually for a couple years now, I have planned out like the whole year as far as like what we're going to do. Like we generally know, right, when we need to switch over our sourcing, but in that seasonal document that includes the markdown strategy that I was just talking about, I lay out like every single month when buyers switch over based on research I did on Google Trends, studying retail stores and things like that. But generally buyers actually begin buying things way sooner than you think they actually will. So everyone buying Halloween costumes and Halloween related items actually happen way sooner than right now when most people think they would. And knowing those opportune moments are what can really give you the edge on reselling. And we share those times and documents and everything specifically with our group because it does take a lot of research, but you guys could do the research yourselves also. Go on to Google, study like the cyclical sales and stuff of stores. But pretty much what I always tell people is if you go into your grocery store, they all have their seasonal aisle, right? If you go into your grocery store and your grocery store has switched over to a certain season, your buyers are already shopping that. So that is a good indicator to you that you should probably consider switching over your sourcing, consider flushing out, those items from the previous season and et cetera. But we plan actually a year ahead of time at this point because we've got years worth of data to go off of. And most of the time we're doing things months ahead of time.
Triple says, I found my first Arc'teryx jacket 2 days ago.
Nice.
Do you pick up all 100% cashmere pieces with no holes regardless of size?
I usually do. That's just come from experience of what we sell every single year, especially if you're getting it like at the bins or something, or for $1 or $2. I say, yes, I can almost always sell it for $25 or more.
Keyword is on pricing. If you can get them for cheap enough, for sure. There's definitely been some brands this year that did not come back as well as I would have expected. I was kind of surprised. Yeah. Let's see. How do I increase sales on Poshmark? The last 2 months have been really, really slow, even paying for Promoted Closet.
I tried Promoted Closet actually a couple of weeks ago. They had a free trial and I was like, what the heck? No money out of my pocket. I tried it, and as soon as that trial was over, it tells you like what you would have spent versus what you made, and it just wasn't worth it for me. Like I made a little bit more money over, but I was like, what's the point? So first of all, I would actually go to your dashboard with Promoted Closet and I would ask yourself, do you actually should you actually be using it? Are you actually profiting off of that? Because if you're not, then you're just paying money into something that isn't making you money. So I would remove that if it's not working for you. If it is working for you, fantastic. If it's not and you're not seeing the returns, that is one area that I would X out, because regardless of how many sales you have, if you're spending unnecessary money, that's contributing to a lower net profit per month. So as far as increasing sales, listen, guys, the number one thing that you can do for your business, anybody listening, a reseller, the number one thing you can do for your business is learn what is selling quickly and for good money. So figuring out what is desirable, what people are searching for right now. That comes from extensive research, studying sold, studying your own sold, studying other people's solds, and just having a really like good grasp, almost like a friggin' chokehold, like a chokehold that as it moves, you're moving with it, of understanding where the market's at, what people are buying, what fabrics, what factors, what sizes, what brands, everything, and paying attention to that. So one of the ways you can do that if you're not already in a research rhythm is create like some time for yourself to research those things. But also if you come across something at a thrift store or the bins or whatever, searching comps for that, searching comps and making sure that you have the data to back up the purchase before buying it will really go a long way. And that's ultimately how any single person can be successful on any platform that they sell on, is just doing the research and making sure you do that research before you pick the item up. There's all kinds of things that happen afterwards. For instance, if you choose not to follow that advice and you're listing items that aren't desirable, it's going to drag you down in the platform search algorithms because it's going to show them that you're listing items, but nobody's buying them. All of those things impact, but the number one thing you can do that will affect everything else is figure out what's desirable and only pick up those items. And a lot of people think that they have to be like bolo brands that everyone's picking up, but there are so many things that are high sell-through rate and brands you walk by every single day that you could be picking up and flipping really quickly. You just have to study them and figure that out. And that's what I love sharing, not only on this channel, but also something we deep dive constantly every single week in Reseller's Edge.
Franklin and Fig wants to know, oh, hold on. I skipped one. I'm so sorry.
I feel like I keep moving this camera and then Nikki inches further.
I know. I'm okay. I'm okay where I'm at. I just want to make sure I can read these. So I answered this question. Oh, there were two Franklin and Fig. That's why I was like, what? So I'm going to do both of these and then we'll skip around. Okay. But do you stock up on summer stuff now, like when items seem to be on clearance or on sale, and list it for next season? And then follow up to, oh, go ahead, answer that. And then we'll go to the follow-up question.
Okay. So I think if you are a seasoned reseller, we kind of talked about this last time. If you are a seasoned reseller and every single year the same types of items sell for you, and you feel really confident in that, and you've got data to back it up, then I think, yes, that might be a good strategy. That is never something that we have ever done. I always focus on just space-wise, keeping things clean and not holding on to things. But I do think that it could be a good idea. If you get, a really great deal on an item is great every single year, then yeah, maybe stockpile it. However, in most cases, most people don't have enough experience of years of reselling to back that up. I would not say that 1 year is enough to say, well, I sold that last summer, so I should go ahead and pick that up, because things change. Bolos change. They almost change weekly. It feels like we were doing comps on things this week and I was like, oh, that's not good anymore. So you have to have a really firm grasp on what's selling. Yep. And you have to watch that sell-through rate because it goes up and down. So if it's something that you're for sure you sell every single year, you're getting it at a cheap enough cost of goods that you don't mind tying up that money, that's another thing, then yeah, maybe stockpile it if you've got the room. In general, I would suggest that most people don't do that and only focus on the season that they're in and grabbing things that they know are going to sell within this season right now.
Follow-up says, just wondering why you don't list on Mercari or Depop. I don't like how they hold your funds until you get a review.
Poshmark does the same thing, just so you know. So the reason we're not on those platforms is because, first of all, at one point we were on every platform. Grailed, we were on Mercari, eBay, Poshmark, Depop, Kitizen. There's some other ones that I don't even think exist anymore, but we were on all of them when the cross-posting tools came out. And the reason we decided to eventually eliminate them was because I just realized we had too much going on and we could not focus on the things we were already doing And it made it really difficult to be good at anything. Because if your time and your efforts are constantly spread thin over, like 5 different things, you can never put all of your effort into 1 or 2 things. So that is why we ended up backing off of Mercari. And right now we're only on eBay, Poshmark, and then a few things on Depop. Not everything. But I really recommend that everybody pick one platform, even if you're on many, many platforms right now. My suggestion would be get off all of them but one. Pick one, get really good at it. Make like daily sales, understand how the platforms work, understand how the algorithm works, understand how to change different dials in your business to affect those sales. And then once you feel really, really good about that, if you've got enough time, add one more platform. Get really good at that, and then add one more platform. And I think that a lot of resellers can mess up very quickly and put themselves in a hole because they're just trying to do too many things that they can never actually focus and get good at one thing, and their attention is spread just too thin. So that is why we have removed ourselves off of those platforms. And to your point, also, one of the reasons we chose eBay and Poshmark specifically is because they have the most buyers. So that was something that factored into my decision. I'm more likely to make sales on the platforms that have the most customers. That's why we choose eBay. And then secondarily, we chose Poshmark because it had the second most amount of buyers.
I think that that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind, only because I think if you are overwhelmingly covering all platforms, but you never really get good at anything, it's hard to really grow anything. So I think that that's a good shout out.
Yeah.
Who was it here? Casey said, I'm confident in my listing skills, but I have a persistent worry of getting bad feedback and hope it could affect my account, or in how it could affect my account. Do you ever get bad feedback, and does it affect you at all?
Yeah. And by the way, I think that is a common fear of a lot of resellers, and you should worry about it and you shouldn't worry about it. And here's why for both. You should know what's going on. So you do need to pay attention to your feedback. You do need to pay attention to any defects on your items. You do need to know that that's happening. How often do you need to do it? I would say once a month. Just make sure that like your account matches up to what you know happened. I only say this because we actually just were talking to a reseller friend who didn't realize that for the last year, she had been getting defects on her account for selecting the wrong reason for canceling an order. Mm-hmm. And now she waited too long to check on that. And so it's going to take a lot longer time than if she would have caught it in the beginning. So I do think that you need to check those metrics, but a lot of resellers, they're checking watchers, they're checking listing views, they're checking feedback, they're checking all of these things multiple times a day. That is too much. You do not need to check those things every single day. You need to follow the foundations of what works to get items to sell, and then check on those things about once a month. For the feedback, if you get bad feedback, which yes, we have had bad feedback. We were probably I think it took 6 months for it to fall off, but we had 99.9% feedback on eBay. And that 0.1% just drove me absolutely nuts. You know what I mean? From one bad feedback. Now we're back at 100% feedback. But you know what? If you have anywhere, I would say from 97, 98, 99% positive feedback on eBay, buyers see that as really excellent. And I wouldn't let it affect you too much. Now, if you don't have enough sales to bump, to bump that back up, let's say you have one bad feedback, but you've only had 10 feedbacks, then your feedback is 90%. You get what I'm saying? Then you might want to consider working on getting that up. But if you have a lot of transactions, 1 or 2 feedback is not going to hurt you. Do not let it discourage you. Whenever I do get negative feedback, the first thing I do, which I think is opposite of what most people do, but the first thing I do is I ask myself, honestly, was this my fault? If it's truly my fault, which sometimes it is, then we look at how we can make it better for the customer. Maybe we reach out to them, we provide them with a refund. And sometimes they remove feedback that way too without us asking. how do we make it right, basically? And then also, how do we prevent this from happening in the future? So if we are constantly having issues with stuff not fitting people, well, now we've added measurements into our photos. So we try to do whatever we can to prevent it. And then if it's, secondly, not your fault, then you want to fight that out with eBay. You want to report the buyer. You want to try to get the feedback removed. You want to figure out how to do that with eBay. They've changed some things recently, so I'm honestly a little shaky on what that looks like because we haven't had to get feedback removed since before that switchover. But you definitely want to try to fight that out and get things removed. I've gotten we don't get a lot of negative feedback, but probably if I were to get 10 negative feedback, we'd probably get 9 out of the 10 removed just by contacting eBay. So definitely back yourself up, do everything you can to get them removed, but don't let it beat you up if it's just 1 or 2.
Pam says, or Pamela, I have started going to the bins for sourcing. If you pick up items there, how does that impact picking up an item and sell-through rate?
Are you asking, like, for me, it doesn't change anything. So I guess the way I look at it, we talk about in the group having a sourcing constitution, which means we have a set of rules for ourselves. We know what parameters we've given ourselves to align with our business model. So even at the bins, I'm asking myself, does this align with my business model or does it not? Sometimes I will take risks at the bins more than I would at a regular thrift store because I'm paying $1 for an item. Holding up and tying up $1 is a lot less risky than tying up $5 at a thrift store or $10 at a thrift store. And those purchases really add up. I can take 10 risks at a bins location and only be tying up $10, but I could take 10 risks at a thrift store and tie up $50 or $100. You get what I'm saying? So there are times where I will take more risks, maybe if it's more of like a style-based item or I'm unsure, but I still align it with my business model. Like I'm not going to pick something up for $1 and try to sell it for 10 because it just doesn't align with my particular business model. It might align with yours. Same thing with sell-through rate. I'm looking for high sell-through rate items still at the bins. You can still find high sell-through rate items at the bins, believe it or not. But where we might, I guess, take a risk is, let's say I look something up, it's got a 75% sell-through rate instead of 100% sell-through rate. That technically falls outside of my business model. However, maybe all of the solds are $50. Well, in my mind, I can increase the sell-through rate by picking up that item and listing it for $40 instead of $50. You get what I'm saying? So I'm increasing the sell-through rate, but I still do look for pretty high sell-through rates with just making a few like exceptions here and there. For the most part, it does not change.
We have someone asking about the course. Does it teach how to sell, like being a new reseller? Does it help you learn what sells what? They're saying that they and their wife are looking to sell things a lot like you, men's and women's, and are asking a little bit about how to get signed up with that.
Yeah, maybe Nikki wants to drop my link tree or something. There's actually a link tree in the description, but she might want to paste it in there. If you click that link tree, all of my links are there and all of my coupon codes attached with those links. So she'll drop that in the chat if you're interested in checking out Reseller's Edge, anybody on here. But yeah, we built the reseller group. There's a course within it, and we built that course specifically for like a roadmap. So there's a course if you're just starting reselling, foundations, all the way up to already doing 6 figures, and you kind of work your way through it depending where you're at. And then the live calls that we do are for anybody. We have tons of deep dives. We heavily focus on keeping up with trends, what's selling, brands, styles, keywords, all that stuff. And just letting our group know so that everyone can stay on top of it and again have that edge on reselling. So I absolutely think no matter what stage of reselling you're at, you could definitely take off in the group. We have people who are just started reselling, and we have people who have joined who are already doing 6 figures and hopefully are on their way to maybe $1 million soon. So It's definitely for everyone. We have all different levels of reselling within it. And we do focus on both men's and women's. Actually, last month we heavily focused on men's. So we put out a lot of men's stuff, but it is both. I definitely think it would pay for itself. You just got to come in and you got to do the work and, soak up the information. We'd love to have you over.
Rosemary says, I would like to make $3,000 a month. Can you break that down for me, please? I list 5 a day and make around $700 at the present time.
Yeah.
Aww, Gina.
Gina, thank you for the super sticker. I love the little gaming. Was that like old Nintendo? Yeah, that's so cute. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you.
Oh, this is our 10th super on a live stream.
What?
It says, let's celebrate their 10th super sticker on a live stream.
Oh my gosh,
it's
Gina.
Our 10th sticker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was nice of you.
Okay, so back to that. Maybe Nikki could open up. We can't show you on the screen. This is why I love Reseller's Edge, because we can show you our screen and stuff. But maybe you could open up the profit breakdown for me. So what was the subscriber who said that? I need to know what your average sale price is for your items. I think you told me your average COG. Was it around 5?
No, it just says we would need to know your average cost of goods and your average sales price is what we would need to know.
Yep. Average, let me know your average cost of good and on average what you sell items for, and then we can do a quick breakdown for you. I'll go ahead and move on to some other questions until we get that info.
Oh, no. Yep. There it goes.
Let us know those, and I'd be happy to break it down for you.
Okay. Let us know.
I love math and spreadsheets. Bring it on. Let's do it.
How soon into the business did you suggest it is good to use a cross-listing or cross-posting tool instead of posting on both Poshmark and eBay separately?
I mean, to be honest with you, when cross-posting tools first came out, they were so enticing to everybody that everybody just wanted to use them, including myself. So I don't think I ever, and I should have, and I think you guys can do this now, but I didn't really, because it was so new, have anything or data to go off of with their competitors or how much time it would save in my business. So I just kind of dove right in to see, because I had nothing to go off of, if that makes sense. And I quickly was like, holy cow, this is going to save me so much time. And then the rest is history. If I were, talking to you guys now and you're not using a cross-posting tool, any equipment, any reselling course, anything that you guys are going to use, I would ask yourself, how much data do I have? Can I look at reviews? Can you estimate how much money you're going to increase or how much money you're going to save? And then your time. Is it going to save you time? And if it does one of those things or many, and the benefits that you're going to get out of it outweigh the cost of a subscription, even a few dollars more for me, that for me is the light bulb moment where I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to use it. Of course. So I think when List Perfectly first came out, I want to say I don't even know what the first subscription was, but I currently pay, I think it's $70 a month for the highest on List Perfectly per month. Let's just say it's 70, but there's plans way cheaper than that. So I would have asked myself in that situation, hey, if I pay $70 a month, which by the way, there's free trials, try it out first. But if I were to pay $70 a month to cross-post, would cross-posting for that entire month pay off the $70? And I think it's really easy to assess that, yes, if I'm putting hundreds of items on another platform, the likelihood of just a few of those selling is going to be enough to pay for the subscription itself. And so that's how I view pretty much everything. If you don't have information to go off of, I didn't, because again, it just started, test it out, just see. Sometimes it's worth it just to test things out. Sometimes it's worth the $20 for subscription just to cross it off your list and say it did or it didn't work. And more often than not, I would say that services, they help and they increase business, and you'll be wondering why you didn't use them in the first place.
That's the same question. I just became a Posh ambassador and now I have discounted shipping. Do I understand correctly that they're getting rid of that? Is the Posh Pass differently? It is unfortunately going away with the revised fees, unfortunately.
They basically said in the email that they created the Posh Pass because of the fee change to help us. And since they're getting rid of that fee change, they're also getting rid of, or I think they said pausing that program, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Somebody was asking about no offers for 90 days on eBay, but what do you do as far as not accepting offers on Posh during that time as well? We actually pad Poshmark a little bit, knowing that we're going to get offers. So if, say, our price is $30 on eBay, we'll go ahead and add $5 to allow for an offer, assuming that most people's offers are somewhere between like 10 and 20%. If it was listed for $3 or for $30, $3 would be 10%. If it's listed at 20%, they're $6. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a buffer for when we get offers. But that's kind of how we know Poshmark is one of those websites that kind of just plans their business model on offers. So
can't turn it off.
Yeah, you can't turn that off. So we just kind of build a buffer instead. If USPS denies your insurance claim for a lost package, do you appeal? If yes, how did it work out for you? Were you successful in getting your money back for the lost package after the appeal, etc.?
We will take, this goes not only for USPS, but you can also appeal decisions on eBay, and you can appeal decisions on Poshmark too, just so you know. So almost any place, if I feel like it was wrong, I'm going to appeal it, like, period. That's who we are. Like, if something's not right, it's not true. Like, we're going to take it to the ends of the earth and fight it out. So we absolutely have appealed things. I would say it's about 50%. 50% of the time things get like fixed. 50% of the time it gets denied. What do I do about it? I mean, you can only take it as far as it can go. I'm not going to let it bother me, the entire time. So take it as far as it can go, and then you let the cards fall where they may. And then the key is you try to put things in place in the future so that you don't end up getting to that point again.
I love it.
That's where growth happens.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think finding a niche area for the market would be worth it? I've thought about specializing in vintage sewing machine parts because of how cheap they are in my area versus what they're selling for on eBay.
Yeah. I mean, they say there's riches and niches is what they say, and niches. And yeah, I absolutely think I have several reseller friends who have niched down into some stuff. I actually just met a subscriber the other day who he niched down. I'm not going to say what it is, but niched down into a very specific category of clothing, which I found very interesting. He had several reasons for doing that, and he's like killing it. So yes, niching down is fantastic. I do think that you should do some market research. You should look up, is there enough selling quickly in sewing parts on eBay? Is the data there to support that you can actually find these things and sell them quickly and not fill up, a whole storage room and be able to move them for the profits you want? I think you should look into that before you commit your entire business into it. But yeah, there is definitely something to be said about niches. And honestly, we recommend this to anybody we're mentoring, but if you're struggling with sales, I actually recommend to people to niche down into one category and just study and research it until you get good, and then move on to the next category that you want. So maybe you want to heavily focus on women's jeans this month. Do that. And then once you feel good about it, add another category on. So the next month you're looking at women's jeans, plus you're looking at into a new study like men's polo shirts. You get what I'm saying? And over time, over a period of, maybe 6 months or so, you're going to have covered every section of the thrift store and be an expert in all of it. But I think it all comes down to demand and supply. So do you have enough in a small niche that you can get enough product? And also, is it actually selling well enough that you'll be good?
Ditto.
What would your niche be if you assume that it had a great sell-through and a great ASP in clothing section? What would you sell?
Assuming it was like solid?
Yeah.
Probably something in the men's category. And I would say probably like men's pants.
Yeah.
Just because they're like easy. I hate shoes because you have to clean them. And I feel like men's shirts, like you got to spend all the time buttoning them up or whatever. So I feel like I would do some like men's pants because men's stuff is generally easier to list. It's less based on aesthetics. And I don't know. I just feel like it'd be easy. What about you?
I think I would do men's t-shirts because I love t-shirts are great. They're like everybody wears them. There's nostalgic ones, but there's also like modern ones that you can look for. They're so easy to source. They're so easy to list. And yeah, I would totally do like men's t-shirts all day long.
Do you like silk shirts? Yes or no?
We got that question last time.
They must not remember. Do you like silk shirts? Yes.
The answer was I like selling them, but I don't personally wear them. And that's because I'm like too afraid of ruining dry clean only clothing.
Ditto. Yeah, I use cross listing and cross posting as like the same thing. Like I don't really differentiate because whether you're cross listing or cross posting, some people call it both. So
I think
we normally
call it both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like cross posting better.
Me too, personally.
Yeah.
How far into your reselling career did you start listing consistently? I'm pretty new and I just started listing 5 per day and want to amp it up to 10 a day. How far into your reselling career did you start listing consistently?
I honestly didn't start until I went full time. Like I got so frustrated at my previous corporate job that I was just kind of like done. And so I definitely jumped into it way too soon. So it wasn't really until I went full time. I think I'd been doing it like as a hobby off and on for like a couple of years. So I guess that would be my answer. But once I went full time, I quickly was like, I'm like working 8 hours a day, but I'm getting nothing done. And I made a challenge to myself to list 10 a day consistently for a week. I forced myself. It felt so hard at the time. Now I could do it in like an hour, but it felt so hard to get 10 listings done in just one day. And that's really what changed everything for me, was forcing myself to be consistent. So I would say once I wanted to take it seriously as a business is when I decided that I needed to be consistent. And that's when I created that 10 a day challenge for a week for myself. And I've never looked back. If there's one thing we do right here, it is that we have not missed a day of listing in like, I don't know how long, like at least like 3 to 4 years. Like it's been a lot, and it's the same amount every single day. So I would say if you're wanting to take things, very seriously, like you have, even if it's a hobby, but you have certain monetary goals in mind, once you have those goals set, like that's when consistency has to happen, because you can't have a goal but not have a plan to get to the goal. And part of the plan is consistency and listings.
Agreed.
I saw a question, somebody asking how much the group was. So I'm just going to answer that real quick. The group is $50 a month. It is subscription. As long as you pay your subscription every month, you'll remain in the group. And as soon as you make your first membership payment, you get access to everything in the group, including hundreds of videos of replays that we've had. There's so much information, like you can't even consume it all in 1 month. You'll get access to our BOLO list, live calls, all of that stuff. So it's $50 a month. And the reason it's a monthly subscription is because we do new stuff every single month. So there's new calls, new topics. You can hop on and ask us questions face to face. And we update BOLO lists. We update styles for you guys. We're basically constantly doing research for you and giving you that information so that you don't have to do all of that extensive research if you don't want to. So it's $50 a month. Consider joining. I would love to have you over there.
Gina says, do you find on eBay when listing something that you have multiples of, people think that it's for all of them, even though it doesn't say it? I have had to put in bold, sold separately, or they are irritated. I've had to message them before I ship each time to make sure they know it's only for one. I would just make sure you're using multi-quantity listings, because then it looks like it's just one item that they're winning and they have to pick the size and it specifically says quantity of one. I'm not sure if that's what you've been doing, but that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot of multi-quantity listing just because most of the stuff we're selling is one-off pre-owned clothing. But in the few cases where we have had a multi-quantity listing, I don't think anyone's ever done that with us. No. Mm-mm. We have had other weird things that, buyers get mad over, but not that.
What do you do if you can't find a comp for an item? I've already bought the item.
Well, what you can do is you just search what the item is without the brand. So, for instance, if, let's say I just sold, I forget what the brand is. Let's say the brand was Rancher. This is a random word. I just sold like a fringe leather jacket, right? Let's say the brand was Rancher. Normally, when I do comps, I would search Rancher leather fringe jacket. And then I do my comps with the brand. But if I were to look that up and there was no information, then I would just look up leather fringe jacket and then men's and maybe the size, or maybe I'd add a color, and I would just look up the category itself and try to start narrowing down with words to ones that looked most similar to mine, and then use that as a guide for pricing. You guys have some really good questions today.
We do not do Whatnot anymore. We did for a while. We tried those and we ended up stopping doing them. If you do style base, how do you find the sell-through rate for rare items? I'm having trouble finding the sell-through rate.
That is a great question. I think that it is one of the most complicated and most difficult things for resellers to do is to figure out style-based sourcing. And it was really hard for us because we are so data-driven and we focused on high sell-through rate for so long, to understand how to comp things like that and also understand what the bolos were in it. And it is a very complicated process. We have an entire call dedicated to that. It was like 2 hours long on Reseller's Edge. I obviously do not have 2 hours today to go over that with you. But what I will say is it is an art, and it does not work the same way that comping regular items with brands is. And it's really about figuring out what are the bolos in those style aesthetics, figuring out what all of those bolos have in common, and then trying to find items like that have all of those same factors and pricing accordingly. And if they're missing one or two factors, figuring out what those items get price liked. And it's almost like a tiered system where you start like dropping price or increasing price based on how many factors are in it. But I think that call alone would be worth the subscription fee if you wanted to hop on there and just see that call for a month. We include a document on that as well. We do exercises on the call also with our members on that call so that we make sure that they understand, I guess, that pricing, that sell-through rate and everything. But if you join, the title of the video is called like Making Sense of Style-Based Sourcing or something like that. And it is very complicated for sure. I think a lot of people want to do style-based sourcing and they try it out because they think it's just, oh, I know that this factor is trending in this one piece. So then they go pick up everything with that one factor and then get frustrated because those items aren't selling. And it's a lot more than that. So I wish I could condense the information for you, but it's more like a 2-hour call kind of thing.
Somebody wanted to know if you felt like eBay Worldwide or eBay International was worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you turn it on, right? Like that's all you do. You don't have to do anything. It works just like regular shipping. So you're just sending it to eBay's distribution center within the United States. So it looks and acts just like a regular shipment for you, it's really no different than what you're already doing, and you just turn it on. So yeah, I absolutely think it's worth it. We probably get, I don't know, I don't do shipping every day anymore, but we used to get at least a few international sales a week. And so we did see an increase with our sales through that. So it's pretty much no risk to you. Like eBay covers it if it gets lost in the mail or something like that on its way to the international site. So absolutely turn it on, see what it does.
Felicia says, how would I switch my inventory over from my current cross-listing tool to List Perfectly? Any tips on if I wanted to switch? I currently have Flip, but noticed a lot are not delisting properly.
Yeah, I think Nikki touched on this last week. So first of all of the cross-posting tools have glitches. There is not a single one that doesn't have glitches and bugs. The same thing for like eBay and Poshmark. There's not a single platform that is perfect just in general. With these cross-posting tools, one of the things that really nobody can seem to figure out how to, make perfect or at least 99% good is the automatic delists. And I think there are a million different reasons for that. It's just very complicated to do with, to work with eBay, Poshmark, and all these places. So I'll start by saying that they all have bugs. So if you're thinking about switching over, just consider that there's probably going to be bugs on the other ones as well, and you're going to have issues. You always have to verify like that it's working and to make sure something's going through. With that being said, if you decided, hey, I just don't like Flip, I want to give another platform a go, I want to test it out, what I would recommend is Vendoo, List Perfectly, all the other cross-posting tools, almost all of them have free trials. So I would just recommend getting on. Don't convert your whole inventory over, but test out all those features that you're thinking about wanting to switch and just see if you like it. Because as Nikki pointed out in the last live Q&A, it is a lot of work to move everything over. I don't know how many you said you had, but we had thousands at the time and it took us several days. If you only have a few hundred items, it's a lot easier. But I would just really consider that, test it out, and see if it's going to work for you first. And then if you decide you want to flip things over, the only tool that I know of that makes it easy is List Perfectly. And that's because they have something called a link tool, which means that instead of importing from one platform into the cross-posting tool and then having to relist everything back to another platform, you can take those existing listings on, like, let's say you want to import from eBay to List Perfectly, but you also have all of those listings on Poshmark that aren't linked. They have a link tool that you can click on Poshmark to start linking everything. And I think other platforms are working on it, but List Perfectly does have that advantage over others. But that is how I would go about it if I personally were switching. You've got to get everything cross-posted from your biggest platform with the most item specifics. It's eBay if you're on eBay. Get those imported into your new cross-posting tool and then either link or have to re-cross-post everything and delete everything off of your old platform. Alrighty.
Sorry.
You're good.
We had another question that says, do you record the live streams for Resellers Edge so that we can rewatch them? How long is the course? Is it very in-depth?
Yeah, every single, we have calls at least 3 times a week. We have 3 live calls. That's our regular schedule. They're on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And then sometimes we do additional calls, like Bethany recently has been doing, I think is it weekly or bi-weekly? She's been doing like listing calls where people can give her items they're struggling to list, and we can like list it with you and do keywords. But all of the Monday, Wednesday, Saturday calls are recorded, and they are uploaded or should be uploaded within 24 hours of the call, available for replay at any time, which means every single Monday, Wednesday, Saturday call that we've done since we started in January is available. Like that's a lot of weeks. That's a lot of calls. So those are immediately available. And then what was the second question? The course?
Yeah, how in-depth is the course?
The course, I don't want to say it's like super in-depth because most of our in-depth conversations happen in our live calls. But as far as like the basics of reselling and what you need to do to get to the next level, all of those are included in the course. So like the foundations of reselling, like how to get everything set up, learning about the platforms and all of that. Then we have the next one, I think it's like road to 10K and different things. And then 10K and beyond. And within each one, depending on which level you're at, we have included courses on basically tools, strategies, or what you should be thinking about within that period of time that you're in for that level. So I want to say, I don't know how many course videos there are because they're mixed in.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I would say there's at least 50 videos in the course already. And then we, again, add to that constantly as well.
Franklin and Fig gave us a super sticker.
Oh, thank you. It's the pear again.
I know. I love it. I love that it's like
so
fig
much.
and it makes me think fruit. So it makes my heart happy.
Thank you so much for the super chat. I didn't even see that on my screen. I think mine is stuck.
Yours is stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's stuck. Sorry.
All right. Let's go through some of this math for Miss Rosemary now that I have everything that I need. I've went ahead and inputted it in here.
Okay.
I don't know if you wanted to know. So she said originally her goal was to make $3,000 a month. Currently was bringing in about $700 a month. Listing 5 items a day, but is listing 5 days a week. So hence the 25.
Mm-hmm.
ASP was $35, but she felt like she was profiting about $20 per each item. And that's all she wrote. So average cost of goods was $3.
That math does not make sense as far as your profit per item if you're thinking you're making 20. So I guess let's break this down real quick. So did you want to break it down? Because you typed everything in.
Yeah, so what we have is called a goal setter spreadsheet. It's part of the Resellers Edge group. But what it does is the listings per week, I said at 25. The average cost of goods for those you said was somewhere between 2 and 3. I went on the high end because worst case scenario, you spend less and then you end up making more on the item. The average sales price was $35, you said approximately. Although you felt like you were bringing in more, about $20 profit per item. If you take the $35 for each item and you subtract your cost of goods and you subtract out your fees, we always just do 20% because of Poshmark.
Yeah.
It says your average net per item should be $25 per item that you should be bringing in. So there's definitely some math differentiation there. But potential profit per week, this is just the amount of items you list, the amount of, obviously you spent on them. So subtracting the fees for each one of them and subtracting seller fees of 20% would put you at about $625 a week or $2,500 for a month. So I'm not sure where the math, I guess, variance is there. But there's definitely some sort of variance there. It could be that you're doing promoted listings because we don't have that taken into consideration as far as what this looks like. But I'd be curious to know more.
Yeah, I'm curious. So a lot of resellers, they think, I'm not calling you and saying this is the case, but I'm saying for everybody watching, because this is helpful, really helpful example. Most resellers think that they know what their average sale price is, and most resellers think that they know what their average cost of good is, and they also think they know what their average net profit is. But until you actually pull your numbers and you break everything down, like with receipts, with platform performance tab, like actually breaking down your fees, you cannot know exactly how much you're actually making. Do you still have that spreadsheet or no?
Yeah.
I was just going to show you. So like if you're slightly off, I'm not saying again that you are, you might have pulled these exact numbers, but if let's say there's a slight variance, I think she came on and might have said she's selling for slightly less than 30, but like, let's say the difference is that you think your average cost of goods is $3, but your average cost of goods is actually $5. So at your average cost of goods of $3 and then the 35 average sale price, that leaves us to a potential profit. That's if everything sells, by the way. Yeah. Everything sells at your listing. The same amount sell at your listing. Then your potential profit per month is $2,500. Let's change that to $5 average cost of goods. That's why I love this spreadsheet. Then your potential profit per month automatically decreases by $200 just from your average cost of goods being $2 higher. So being slightly off in numbers is sometimes where people don't realize they're not able to achieve their goals because they're guessing instead of actually looking. Again, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but something to just consider. So something else to keep in mind with these numbers is, according to your numbers, if you were selling the same amount that you were listing, you would be meeting your potential profit per month of $2,000. But in most cases, most people are not going to sell the same amount that they are listing. You know, what's your business model? If you're focused on a high sell-through rate model, this is probably possible. Maybe you're reaching that reseller nirvana. Most people aren't falling under that. So I would say you would probably want to at least double, possibly even triple what you're doing just to ensure that you're going to meet it. So, you know, consider that. Consider that.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right. Now I got to scroll back up. So you're going to give me a minute. Let's see.
I love that spreadsheet. It's so good. I love the plug and play, the plug and play numbers.
Do you photograph a group of items, then list? What is your process for that?
It's a process. Yes, we photograph first. We try to, this is summarized, but we photograph first. We try to get everything that we would need to list the item within the photos. So that would include our measurements, any flaws, even pointing out, like if an item has a pocket, pointing that out, the material tag, the size tag, wash instructions, all of that stuff, the weight of the item, the SKU, and then we upload those photos, and then we finish the listing from the photos is the short version of how we do it.
How long after going full-time yourself did Nikki join you in the business? How long? I can't remember. How long were you full-time?
I went full, I keep doing quotes because I really wasn't working as much as I thought I was. But I went, quote unquote, full-time in 2019. You came on, what, 2021?
Yeah.
So it would have been about, based on the time of the year, about a year and a half after I went full-time is when Nikki came on board.
And she's been stuck with me since. Let's see what else. I don't have bin store near me, but an amazing thrift store find treasures there all the time, like 2 pairs of Lucchese boots for $35 for both. Would you say it's okay to sit on this amount until it sells?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, ultimately it's up to you, right? Like how quickly do you want to sell items? Like don't just take my word for it. Like how quickly do you want to sell it? Is that working for your business model? But I personally, my theory, the way I do it is if I have like a really high dollar item, usually I'm willing to sit for the right buyer. We've sold actually 1 pair of Lucchese boots that we found at a thrift store. But yeah, I definitely say that would be something I'd be willing to wait on for the right buyer. I probably honestly would price on the higher end and then add best offer is how I would do it, because once you get into those like higher dollar amounts, it's really hard to tell like specifically what's like dollar amounts going to make that item sell. So I like to price somewhat on the higher end and then let the market decide by adding on a best offer.
Agreed. Emmy and Al Resell said the link tool is only on the biggest plan for List Perfectly, but said it's definitely made the biggest subscription worth it for me. So I thought that was a good shout out.
I didn't know that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Rosemary asked if there was a discount for anyone for Canada to join the site for Resellers Edge. We actually have 2 Canadians already. We do not offer a special discount, unfortunately.
If you guys are interested in a discount in Resellers Edge, we have affiliates now. So we're working with YouTube content creators. And what you can do is you can go onto YouTube and search Resellers Edge affiliates. I cannot tell you what the content creators' names are because we have multiple and I have to be fair about who gets the commission from it. But if you search that, you'll see some of their videos. You can click into one of them, and then in their description, they should have a link to join as well as a coupon code for you. So you can check that out if you want a discount off of your first month.
Why do I have lots of clothes from Nordstrom like Anthropologie and still have no sales? I have it and comp prices. Is it me not listing daily?
It could be a number of things. Anthropologie, Nordstrom, all those brands in general do not, like for the whole brand, have a high sell-through rate. It's, about styles, sizes. So if you're comping the particular style and you're comping the particular size and you're seeing that there's a high sell-through rate, then at that point, if, all the stars have aligned and you're like, no, this is a great item, then I would say you want to take a look at your listing. What category is it in? Is it possibly priced too high? Is it possibly priced too low? Sometimes pricing too low actually can deter buyers into thinking that there's something wrong with the item. Or maybe, your item specifics are screwed up. Maybe we've got the wrong size on something. But I would say that in most cases, when you're seeing a situation like this, the items probably don't have as high of a sell-through rate as you think they do. And Anthropologie, I love Anthropologie, so don't get me wrong. But Anthropologie, a lot of those brands now are just oversaturated. So chances are there's a lot of your competition has the same style and the same size and is listing it for a cheaper price than you. And that's probably why it's not selling.
Yep. Alexandria Rogers says, how do I sell my home sewn scrunchies and sell for a price of $15?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
I've never really sold homemade stuff like that, really. I don't have a lot of experience with it. I'll always tell you guys when, I'm just not the expert in something. So I'm just not the expert in that. But we do have some people in our group who actually sell their homemade stuff, and they've had the most success on Etsy. So I would consider maybe checking out Etsy for something like that, because you're going to probably have a better buyer base looking for a homemade item. You could also try putting it on eBay or Poshmark. I don't know what the market looks like for a handmade scrunchie, so I couldn't tell you whether there's a high sell-through rate, what items, what to price it for or whatever. But I would say maybe check and see if there's a demand for handmade scrunchies on eBay before deciding to list there, only because eBay does charge to list. So probably want to figure that out, but Etsy can be a great place to look for that.
What would you recommend to do to increase sales a week? How much to post a day, etc.? I feel like it's really dependent. I mean, like I said, we have that goal setter spreadsheet that we have available on Reseller's Edge. It's definitely very dependent on your cost of goods. It's really dependent upon what your average sales price. But the nice thing about it is that you can really just plug and play your numbers and figure out exactly what works for you to really learn how much you would need to sell to be able to increase them. I think people think that there's this magical number for how many items you need to have in your store or how many items you need to list every single day. But it's honestly so dependent upon what you need to freely live your life. So it's really hard for us to give you a specific number, unfortunately.
Here's my generic answer, because this will work for everybody, no matter your situation. The number one thing you can do to increase your sales is to only buy high sell-through rate items. So you need to figure out what the high sell-through rate items are, and you need to only buy those to list. And then number two, you list as many of those items as you can find and as you can list. And if you do those two things, your sales will increase.
Alexandria Rogers says, doesn't it take Etsy a long time to build a following? I want to sell out within my first 7 days. What is the secret to selling the fastest on Etsy and Poshmark? Honestly, it's all about a following no matter where you are, unfortunately, and having great items for you with them being hand sewn You would definitely have to increase your market. Lots of like social media sharing, getting them out there in the public. I don't know how many you have or if you're set on trying to sell them online, but sometimes even local is a great way to go.
Oh yeah.
You know, this kind of side note, it has nothing really to do reselling wise, but my daughter for a really long time decided she wanted to sell like beaded bracelets or wanted to sell like hand woven bracelets. And we had the best luck from just reaching out to like local people in our community who in all actuality just really wanted to support us. I think it would have taken us significantly longer to go to Etsy and build a following. If this is like a means to an end, maybe offer local, go to some like craft shows, things like that to get them out there. But beyond that, if you plan to continue, I would try to start building that Etsy following now while you're also doing craft shows. The great thing is it's almost November, which knock on wood, pray for me. I don't want to think about the fact that we're close to Christmas, but there's going to be so many holiday craft shows, bazaars, things like that coming up. Farmers markets, Franklin and Fig just put that in there. There's so many people who are going to be looking for holiday gifts. And if you marketed them the right way, and I think like maybe got little gift bags for them that kind of pre-wrapped them for holidays, I definitely think you'd have some really great luck with more of the like crafty vendor kind of places as well. And then you could build Etsy in the meantime as well.
Yeah, Nikki probably knows way more about that than I do, but I have studied a lot into like just branding and marketing yourself. And I do think that if you're going to do this long term, one thing I do know is that you need to basically brand yourself and your company. So you need to have like something that you're known for. So like, why do your scrunchies stand out above your competition? Like, do they have a specific purpose? I know like the first creator to come out with I think they're called like pillow scrunchies, but they were like the first ones that were known for like you sleep in the scrunchie and it's, you know, a satin and you put your hair up in the middle of the night. Well, no one had ever done that. And so it went viral. And you can do the same thing if you find, you know, a purpose or maybe a slogan for your scrunchie that you can become known for, because it's really hard to differentiate yourself if everybody's doing that also. So I think focus on like what your brand looks like could really go a long way as well.
Let's see. How to decide whether or not to add best offer or stick to buy it now only. It seems easier to not have offers if you have a huge inventory like you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways. Like there's pros and cons to both. The thing with not offering best offer, and I did make a video on this if you want to watch it. It's titled something like How I Get Full Price Sales. You can watch that video. But if you're going to not have best offer, like you're just doing a buy it now price, then you have to price like effectively. Like you just have to. Like there's no room for error on pricing effectively. So if you're not going to have best offer, you have to really be on top of what are things selling for and how do I be slightly competitive, you know, amongst my competition. And then the other side of that is you do accept offers and you're going to show up probably higher in search because some buyers do filter to accepting offers in their search, and that's another way to be more competitive. The downside to the offers is, like you said, you're having to deal with offers all the time. I mentioned before, but once an item hits 90 days or older, we drop the price, but we also add best offer because we do have thousands of items in the store and I don't want to deal with offers all the time. I use the auto accept or decline. So you can put a range that is acceptable to you. You can even do percentage. So you can say like, my price is $50, but I'm actually willing to accept anything between $50 and my minimum price is, I don't know, $30 or something like that. That way you really don't have to deal with the offers because you can auto accept or auto decline and you don't even see it. It's when you don't have the auto accept and decline that you're getting notified of all the offers that you have to deal with. So there's just kind of two ways of looking at it. I also think there's something to be said that if you have offers on everything, your buyer's just going to send you an offer probably because you're marketing that you're willing to negotiate, whereas not allowing best offer, you're not willing to negotiate. So it's just kind of like a give and take. How do you really want to run your business? How much time do you have? For us, as I've mentioned, we really focus on like minimalist reselling straight across the board. Like I don't want to add extra steps to my process. And because of that, I choose a buy it now with no best offer. And when we do put best offer on for the older items, it's auto accept or decline.
Let's see what else. We are from Ohio. I'm not sure where you're from. What is the best way to order words in a title? Brand, size, gender, color, style, etc.
It depends on like what platform you're on, but platforms do have suggestions. eBay's suggestion is brand, gender, the item, the size, and then any additional keywords. So that would look something like J. Crew, women's cashmere cardigan, size medium, orange, soft, cozy, long sleeve, something like that.
How many active eBay listings do you currently have?
I think we're at like,
let's look.
Okay, she's gonna look. I was gonna say it's about like 7.5 thousand ish.
Moment of truth. Dun 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 dun. You were wrong. You're close. 7,468. What a good guess.
Okay, close.
What a good guess. Controversial topic, in my honest opinion. It goes brand, style, name, item, gender, size, and then keywords. There's so many different ways that you can do titles. I literally did an entire module in Reseller's Edge about like marketing your items the right way, depending on what the item is and what the buyer is. It was solid. People loved it. I definitely think it makes a huge difference. Platform makes a difference. Your experience makes a huge difference. The item itself makes a huge difference. Like there's so many things that go into it that it's honestly very individualistic.
I would say that for if you're like me and you just want to have one like shell like of exactly how you're going to do it for everything, and it would hit and be searchable for most things, the one that I just stated is what we go with in our own business. So take that for what it's worth. That is what eBay suggests. So that's what we use for all of the platforms.
Let's see.
They like your shirt.
Thank you. I love this dark. It's like dark, but it's also like fluorescent, which I appreciate. It's like me and Cayley mixed together. She's got the black, I've got the neon. So does it have to be a specific date to be considered vintage? I saw another reseller's video that does not pick up older cut items. Does it have to be a specific date to be considered vintage?
Technically, vintage means it is 20 years or older. So, it's 20, it's almost, we'll just say 2025 because it's almost 2025. So anything that is from 2005 or older would be considered vintage, technically speaking. But you can't always like specifically date an item. But most of the times you can usually tell based on the tag about a range of a date. So I can usually tell by looking at a tag, oh, that's like early 2000s, or oh, that's 80s, that's 90s. So you can about date it. And as long as you can tell that it's like Y2K or older, then I would consider it vintage.
How many items do we list a day? We are doing 45 now?
Yep.
And then what is your opinion on promoted closet on Posh from Marta?
Yeah, I said at the beginning of the video, but I tested it out and we did make more money than we would have. I used the free trial, so I didn't really spend money, but it showed me how much money I would have spent versus how much we made. I did make more, but it was slightly more. Like it was so insignificant to me that it did not seem worth doing promoted closet. So I got rid of it. I personally am not a fan of promoted closet only because you have to pay for clicks. Like you're not paying if the item sells like eBay does. You're paying up front and there's just no guarantee that it's going to work. I wish promoted listings on every platform would just go away, to be honest. Like I wish eBay would get rid of them. I wish Poshmark would get rid of them. I wish it was just about the search and the items. I really do. But Poshmark specifically, I don't like the way they have it set up. I don't think that it works well. And I have not met one single person that uses promoted closet and says that it works well. Like it's
Agreed.
just, it's not working for most people. I would not use it.
How do you build a following on Instagram? Lots of time and lots of effort. Posting reels is a great way. Posting content every day, responding to people all the time. Every single comment, every single like, every single share, tagging other people. It's just honestly, it's a grind. It's going to take a lot of time to build a following, liking other people, having them like you back. That's about it.
Yeah, I think you have to post like a reel a day, which is why I don't have as big of a following on YouTube as we have on YouTube. But I do think you need to post like every single day.
We are officially caught up with questions.
We are.
It never happens.
Hot diggity dog. How many people are watching? Got about 200 people.
This is 197. Wake up your kids. Get us to 200.
Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, you guys. We love hearing from you. That we love knowing that you like getting on the live Q&As. And then we are going to very soon be doing a giveaway for 2 people. We're going to do another GRO pack giveaway. And should we do it now or we got more questions?
Just an easy one. We do not wash any and all items. We only wash items that are stained or need like stain treatment. They need just washed in general. Like too much cat hair, too much dog hair, things like that. We'll wash stuff like that to get it out. But for the most part, we just lint roll them, steam them, just very minimalist kinds of cleaning. But we try to honestly avoid picking that stuff up anyways. So
yeah, we don't like putting in that effort.
Yeah, no, for sure not.
We now pay somebody to do it. So
thank God for her.
All right, let's do this.
That's it.
Yeah, let's do this. Oh,
a few minutes ago, some resellers, YouTubers freaked out about warning people they have to wash everything and people tripped out. Yeah, no.
That's been the rule, quote unquote, on eBay for like, I don't know, like 20 years. No one ever pays attention to it. I guess the way that I think about it is that most people donate clothing washed. And if they're not, you can tell before you pick it up. And then most people are going to wash it before they wear it. Like, is there really a point in doing it because it's already technically washed? In my opinion, no. I think it's a waste of time, personally.
Yeah, I think we mentioned most people wash their items before they donate them. There are those that I think just donate them anyways. But somebody mentioned that a lot of people get upset about the washing, like they don't want the smell. So,
yep. All right. Well, let's do this giveaway. So I have to give a little plug to GRO Pack. They are just a big time partner on my channel. We absolutely love them. It is where we order almost all of our poly mailers from. So they're an online shipping supplies company. Their website is really clean and simple. You just go on, you pick what kind of mailer you want. We usually only choose between the bubble mailer or the poly mailer when we usually get poly mailer, but they do have like some gift boxes and things like that. But you go on, you pick what you want. We choose poly mailer, and then you choose your size, the color you want, and then your quantity. And even with like, I think their lowest amount is maybe like a 50 pack or 100 pack, still super affordable per piece. One of the cheapest prices I've seen, especially for the quality that you're getting. Plus, they have free shipping on all orders within the United States. And the more you buy in bulk, the more you increase your quantity, the cheaper it is per piece. One thing I love about them, we ship out a ton of crap. Okay.
Mhm.
And most of it goes in a 10 by 13 poly mailer. Which means we order a lot of 10 by 13 poly mailers. So we prefer to order them by the like 1,000 or 2,000. If you try to order them off of like Amazon or something like that, most of the times you can only get like 100, sometimes 250. But on GRO Pack, you can order them in bulk and save a lot of money by doing that. So we absolutely love them. Consider checking them out. You can go to the link tree in my description and check out the GRO Pack link. There's also a coupon code for a 10% discount off of your first purchase with GRO Pack, and that's on top of their already cheap prices. So check that out if you would like. I know a lot of you order every single week or month from GRO Pack, so thank you for doing that. We love them. But today they are sponsoring another giveaway. So we're going to give away $20 worth of GRO Pack product, which is your choice, for 2 of our viewers today. So before we do that, give us some thumbs up here. We might need to refresh the page.
I'm gonna go through a couple last minute questions.
Oh, we got some questions. Okay.
I'm gonna power through them.
Wait.
Okay. Just because I wanted to make sure. We are not doing live selling anymore. That was a question. Somebody asked about not showing the discounted shipping anymore. Wonder if it's a glitch. I'm assuming you're meaning Posh, and that is going to be going away. So that should be a thing you'll see coming, unfortunately. Ground Advantage in general, pricing has gone up. Cayley and I were actually just talking about this. It used to be if you didn't go over a dimensional limit that you didn't have to worry. That has reverted. It is getting more expensive versus dimensions again. I tried to ship them something Ground Advantage and it was like almost $28. It was very expensive, and that was like within the parameters that used to be okay. Let's see. There was something else. I have Poshmark and eBay accounts. I can hardly get any views on eBay for clothing, and I try to pick up trendy items and use the right keywords. Sell-through rate's the most important thing. I would not focus on views. I would not focus on likes, things like that. Focus on the sell-through ability of these clothes. If you have the right items, then those items are going to be the items that are going to sell. Durability of GRO Pack is great. We use them all the time. I would tell you if they weren't, because I'm not contractually tied to them. Cayley is, but I am not. I honestly really, really like them. They're pretty thick and durable. They're not like overly thick so that you could tell that they're wasting a lot of materials. I think we like to ride a fine line between sustainable and good quality, and I think that they do a great job with that. They've also got some really cool prints as well, which I really appreciate. So
we've literally never had an issue at all with their poly mailers.
Honestly, my biggest complaint, if I had to pick one about GRO Pack, don't panic, it's okay. She's like, oh no, is that sometimes when I screw up and I put them in the wrong bag, I have to fight to get them open. Like, that's how durable they are.
Yeah.
If I accidentally put something in a poly mailer that's supposed to go in a padded, and I'm like, crap, and I go to take it out, 9 times out of 10 I have to fight to get the bag ripped open because they're that thick.
They are strong. Yeah.
All right, that was my power question. So question, do you promote on eBay? Yes we do. Question of the day.
Okay,
for drum roll.
So we're gonna have,
it's coming now.
Yeah, we're gonna have 2 winners. You'll each get $20 worth of product on GRO Pack. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask a question, and the 2 people at the top of our screen, I know people's internet's different. I know it might look differently on your screen. For our screen, and Nikki always takes a picture of it so she knows, but on our screen, the 2 first people to answer the question correctly are the winners. We'll let you know right after who won. And then we're going to drop our email. We'll need you to send us an email so that I can give you instructions on how to verify that it's you. Number one, we have had people try to steal prizes.
That's crazy.
I know. And then also how to redeem your prize, get your address to ship, and all of that information on what product you want. So stay tuned for that. Nikki just dropped the email. So I made a little bit harder of a question today. Because the other ones were they were easy. So the question is, there is a specific style, meaning it actually says the style on the tag, of Old Navy shirt that mimics a Taylor Swift flannel. What is the style of the Old Navy shirt? And it is here for
Can't
you.
see it.
It's here for you. And
We got it. Oh, they knew it. I didn't even fight that hard. They knew it. All right. We've got some winners. We've got some winners. Winners, winners, chicken dinners.
All right. Who's the winner?
All right. We have number 1, Sarah Norman. And number 2, Emmy and Al Resale.
Congratulations. So at the top of the, like before we answered those questions, there is our email address. Make sure to send us an email and I will make sure to get you your product, tell you how to like redeem and verify yourself and everything. But yes, it is the boyfriend shirt. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go on to eBay, Poshmark, whatever, search Old Navy Taylor Swift, and then go to the solds, and then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There is a very specific color of the Old Navy boyfriend shirt flannel that is basically a dupe for something that Taylor Swift wore. I think it was like the Evermore flannel or something like that, but it sells for like $40, sometimes $50. And we've come across it twice now, and I know a bunch of people on YouTube and the group have come across it. So definitely one to look for. There is a bolo in every single brand, I'm telling you. So
there definitely is.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave you guys here for the day. We appreciate you guys joining us today, and make sure that you shoot us an email for those winners so that we can get you that free product.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Thank you. See you guys
week.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.